Welcome to Women's Million Dollar Conversations with Alice Tang, where we share stories from successful businesswomen who have saved, earned, or sold over $1 million and discuss how they built their success and insights to help you achieve your goals. Now, let's join the conversation.
Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to have the founder and CEO of Working for Women, Beth Bengston, with us this morning. So, Beth, good morning, probably good afternoon for you in the East Coast.
No, we're 15 minutes from afternoon, so we're still in the morning. So we're both having an early start.
Thank you so much for joining us. Our guests either make, save, or earn $1 million. Beth is a friend of Michelle Hines that we have a common friend in Portland. She was introduced to us through them. All right, Beth, would you share with us what you do and a little bit about your organization so that the audience know where you're coming from?
So my name is Beth Bengston. I am the CEO and founder of an organization called Working for Women. And Working for Women is a community of businesses and professionals that work to invest in getting more women, especially women from marginalized communities across the United States, into the workforce and to economic independence. So this topic about finance is very close and near and dear, not only to my heart, but to our work in helping more women be able to attain economic independence, because really that's really about freedom, right?
So the first question for you is, what's the value of money for you?
So for me personally, the value of money has always been choice, right? It's the choice to be able to do what I want more than anything else. And I guess the other word that comes along with that to some extent is freedom, because I really see when you have economic independence, or you can call it financial independence interchangeably, you have options in your life, right? It allows you to choose whether you want to stay with this job or not stay with this job. It allows you to choose whether you want to stay in the relationship you're in or not stay in the relationship you're in, because the more that you have control over your finances, the more you have control over your life.
So it looks like actually the choices that is created by having money has provided resilience for women, of course, men too. They also make money, earn money, and save money. But our focus here is women. Thank you so much for letting us know. It's about choices and the freedom that is created for these women. Now, I know there is a journey to save to $1 million. We chatted about that already, Beth. And your answer is, it has taken me longer than I thought, only if I know better. I like to expand on that from your angle.
I don't know that in my own life that I ever intentionally thought about saving $1 million, right? I don't think that was ever necessarily a goal. And I think we have to think about the role of money in women's lives and how women think about money and approach it, especially because one of the largest, and which is why I was willing to do this conversation today, is we don't talk about money, right? We don't have the conversations about money. So I don't know that it was ever a conscious piece of, oh, I have this goal, $1 million goal to get to. I think I probably would have approached my life much differently if I set out and I had set $1 million goal. I've always had a goal of, I want to have enough money to be able to do what I want to do.
That's exactly right.
Yes. And so that money, and again, it goes back to where you asked, what's the value of money? And the value of money to me is choice. That said, I think my learning and in reflecting back is, I wish I had those conversations, right? I wish I had been thinking about it intentionally, because I would have done things differently in terms of focusing on wealth generation, and most likely probably would have hit those numbers at a different point in my life, most likely in a faster capacity, right? Because again, I think the learning comes back, lower the taboos around this conversation, right? And make it more of an active conversation for women to talk about what their money goals are. And the numbers go along with that, depending on what the value is for money for you in your life. Why do you want to generate more money? And I think that's the other piece that we have to distill is, I think we're in a society that is, oh, you just have to get more and more money. Why? What is it? Why do you want that money? What is that purpose? If you have a better understanding of the role in money in your life, then I think the wealth comes along behind it.
So it makes sense, because coming from the financial advisor angle, money is a number to us. We look at it daily. Somebody has a million, somebody has 3 million, somebody has 500,000, doesn't mean that the person who has $3 million is happier than the person who has 500. Doesn't mean that the person who has $3 million live a better lifestyle, can sleep at night compared to the 500,000. It's all about what you want money to do. I like the way that you say what you want the money to do for us. So the bottom line is we each have our own aspiration or destination that we're thinking about. Or you talk about financial goals, very abstract. I want to retire, very abstract.
Yeah.
Money is a tool. The reason why we talk about a million, as I first talked with you last year, was the $1 million net worth. Only 10% of Americans household has a million, which is super disturbing to me. We are one of the
Shocking.
richest country in the world. So if we don't look at that $1 million as a conversation point, we can say, are you living well? No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Both of them a good answer. So how do you define, right? I have enough to pay for my expenses. I
Right.
don't need to worry about money. I can make choices. I can leave a job. I can leave a career if I
Yes.
don't like it. So that brings me to the next question. On the road to get to that $1 million, what are some of the bias or the barriers that you remember?
So it's going to go back to the answer that I had before. I don't know that there's so much of a bias or barriers necessarily. I think we don't have enough of this conversation from the feminine standpoint. Again, I think where you started from, what's the role of money in your life? If you can't understand why you want money and what you want it to do, then I think it's very hard to be planning and putting the things in place. And I don't think we do enough of that. Because as a society, we don't talk about money, and there's a lot of shame around money, and everybody walks around just saying they don't have enough without understanding like why they need more. I wish I'd been more consciously thinking about this, right? I wish the things that I think about now and that we bring out to the women in our network, I wish when I was in my 20s, I had been thinking about it differently, because I would have invested, I would have used the money very differently. I got to a really good place, but it wasn't a conscious plan that got me here. That's where I feel like if there had been more conversations around that, what do you want your life to be like? And then having a better understanding of how much money it takes to have what it is that I want. And I'm mentoring a lot of young women right now, and this conversation of finances is such a big part of it. But as a society, we're more apt to talk about sex than we are to talk about money. There's more stigma to some extent around money. And most people are walking around saying, I don't have enough. Do you know what is enough? So for me, the barriers are systemic in that we don't have the right conversations around money. I've even been thinking about this recently and in reading things. And I think we've got a trend happening in the financial field of thinking about money differently, in asking those questions. But as someone that's getting closer and closer to that retirement point, I was like, okay, I keep saving for retirement. I haven't sat down and said, what do I want my lifestyle to look like in retirement? Do I have enough saved right now? Do I not have enough? We just have this, you got to keep saving more. You got to keep, and I'm starting to question, but do I? Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm okay. Hey, maybe there's money I could be spending right now, because there's not that conscious piece, right? We just have a financial system that's just, you need to save more and more money. Okay, why?
Very good. Actually, you just painted a beautiful picture about people come to seek advice from our firm. The question they ask is, how much do I need to have? When can I stop? When can I stop? Is there any blind spot?
Yeah.
So there is a way to solve that if you seek advice, whether people go to study group, right? There is women who just study, say, I'm doing this, you are doing this. Or some people just privately seek advice from advisor or consultant. Same thing. I need to know, because knowing sometimes is a little scary. What if I don't have enough? But to me, knowing is really empowering.
Yes.
You know what you need to do. Then you have a choice to do it, delay it, or ignore it. But if you don't know, what are you going to do?
But society-wise, we just paint a picture out there that you just need to get more and more money. Going through why you need that more money, right? It comes back to those pieces. And I think you brought up a good point there too, like people coming in and saying, oh, do I have enough for retirement? There's so much fear around money, right? Money and fear go hand in hand. And that's why that point of, like you said, but it's empowering. Then
Yes.
you know that you don't have enough, then you know what you need to do. But when you operate from a place of fear and you don't want to have the conversation because you're afraid you might find out that you don't have enough, that's disempowering. And it also doesn't get you to choice. I think it holds us back. And it's a lot of why that 10%, when you told it to me, it was shocking to me, because you're right. We are supposedly the richest country in the world, but the people that have money know how to manage money, and they make more and more money. We don't have this conversation. We don't normalize it in families, right? And if anything, we probably still have a lot of families across this country. These conversations tend to be held more with the boys in the family than the girls.
Here is the difference. I think you were doing a great job empowering a lot of women in terms of taking mentorship and leadership of educating them. When I grow up, my mother is a saver. So is a role model. She doesn't know stocks, bonds, or all these things, but she saved every penny.
Yeah.
She always asks herself, is her income covering her expenses? Very simple. Never borrow, except for home mortgage. Who has that money to buy a whole home just right here, right? So other than mortgage, it's just no debt. So we saw that. So I become a saver. And similarly, when clients come in, I'm more curious about their money story. Tell me your first memory of money, and tell me when has money created a lot of pain, and when has money created a lot of joy. So we know sometimes the deadlock is right here. So where is that? It's not about laying out the financial plan. It's about helping them to lift those locks so that they can cruise smoothly.
There's been a belief in the financial world, and my background started in finance before coming into what I do now. So this has been more near and dear to my heart than I think I ever realized. Women save, women are taught running households, they're running all the expenses, they see all those things. But the mindset is with women, how are you spending the money, right? But men, at the same point, from a gender standpoint, and in conversations, you'll have conversations with, how are you investing your money? And just that delineation in how we approach it from a gender standpoint, one doesn't have women seeing themselves as investors. Women see themselves as spenders. They see themselves as consumers. They see themselves as purchasing items, but women have a real aversion to investing. That's foreign, but part of that is in our language and how we approach it and how we approach conversations. Because how many of us sit down with our women friends and say, hey, how are you investing right now? Where are you putting your money? What are you doing with your money? What women don't understand is the same things that you do to figure out those purchasings, right? The purchase that you're going to make, the researching, all those steps you go through to make a big purchase in your life is exactly the same steps for investing, but investing is foreign to women. And I think that's another reason why we don't see more women in that place of that network, is from a confidence standpoint, but from a societal standpoint, because we don't talk about investing as women overall. And that fundamentally has to change.
I love to just recap a little bit, and you gave me a light bulb. Thank you, Beth. So we need to talk about not only how we spend, although women make a lot of spending decision. We need to talk a lot about, or even ask our closest female friends, family members who's in our circle, how you're investing. So the light bulb you have given me was, I just bought a car. It's one way to say it. Change your verbiage, then you change your belief. I just invested in a better car for winter so that my kids are safer sitting at the back. Or I just invested in this program. It's $5,000 or $2,000 because, or the membership of an organization, because I'm going to hang out with the right mind and learn a lot about it. It shouldn't be at the expense mindset. It's at the investing.
And then this is where I think that goes back to that $1 million conversation. I don't think women are sitting there saying, oh, I need $1 million. And they're saying, hey, I want safety. I want choice. I want to be able to walk out of bad situations if I want. And the reality is that takes having $1 million, right? To be able to have those things, that's where that benchmark is. But that's not the driving force for women. You didn't go to get a new car just because you wanted a new car. You weren't like, hey, I just want to have a new fancy car because that's what I want.
You can.
Because of what it's going to bring to your life, right? That's what
right.
was the motivating piece was, oh, wait, if I get a better car, my life gets simpler and I feel more safe. I feel like my family is safer and there's more convenience, right? Those are why we make a lot of the financial decisions, because then sometimes you buy a new car, and I just did the same thing. And I feel like I have to justify that I actually bought a car. Like, I feel almost bad, I'll be completely honest. But I did it for exactly what you're talking about. I had a car that wasn't reliable. Every time I got into the car, I would be like, is it going to break down on me today? And so the investment in the new car has given me ease, right? That's what I paid, because now I'm like, oh, okay. And if anything goes wrong with the car, I got 3 years that I can take it back and it's not my problem, right? Where, as opposed to the other car. But that's why the decision was made, right? It was made from those standpoints, not, oh, I just want to have a new car type of thing. It was because of what it's going to bring to my life that is what motivated me to make the car decision.
I like to close this with, what does money buy? In this example, money buys safety and peace of mind. Yeah. On to the next question. What is one piece of very good or very bad advice that has changed your life? It doesn't need to be in relationship to money, but what's one piece of very good advice or very bad advice that had a very huge impact in your life?
You said it before. I don't know if it's one piece of advice, but it is the process of having to have a money goal, right? That there was something that you wanted in your life. And I was lucky at a very young age to be like, I wanted a camera for a trip. It's the case in point. And my parents could have just given me the camera at the time, right? But they made a conscious decision that I had to earn it. And I was at high school. The camera was very expensive and I had no real means of earning any money. And I was like, I can't do this. It's not possible. And then I did it, right? Of course, I ended up figuring it out, but it was painful, right? And I think sometimes there's pain involved in this, and these conversations can be hard. But where you come to on the other side is highly empowering when you realize that you can do these things. And even if it's a small piece, setting those small goals, how far you can go with that. I think it's those types of things of not giving up when it seems hard and looking for the way forward.
Very good. Setting a goal and looking the way forward, even though it looks difficult, when you achieve it, you're on the other side, is super empowering, because by the time when you know you've done that difficult one, seemed so impossible, now you are on the other side, you know that sets yourself up to hit bigger dreams, goals in your life, because you've done it. It doesn't need to be money.
I think most people are like, oh my God, I can never get to $1 million. I can't do it. Fine, set a goal for, if you don't have $1,000 in savings, start there and then build upon that, right? Set up the baby steps on the journey up that mountain. I always use the example of, nobody climbs Everest, goes out one day and just walks up to the top of Everest. They go to base camps, right? They go to the first milestone and they hang there for a little bit and they get acclimated, and then they move to the next base camp, right? It's a process of getting to that mountain. Nobody just gets to Everest without going through the process.
That's right. Last question. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful that I'm able to do this work with Working for Women. I'm grateful that we can bring this conversation out and help more women build more confidence on their financial journeys. I think that's the key, is the choice, right? And enabling and making it more possible. Because I think too often women are held back in really bad situations in their life because they feel that they don't have a way out. And financial freedom is choice. Absolutely. So the more that we can help women be able to understand finances and manage that, and that's the role of it in their life, and understand that it's an emotional conversation, because you said that before. I think we think so often as money, as numbers, and that it's the logical, but every money decision we make, as we both illustrated with the car, is not a money situation, it's an emotional decision.
Beautiful.
So that is my final thought.
We are very grateful for you, Beth. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alice.